My name is Ray. I'm an alcoholic. Can you hear me okay? Great. I want to thank Lori. I want to thank Troy, the two speakers, Lisa and Aaron, and Christy for inviting me here. Your kindness, your warmth. I couldn't find it any place else but Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you're new to Alcoholics Anonymous, I hope you find it too. Just stick around. Don't leave. Stay. Well, I'm acclimated to the dryness here, except for my hair. It's a little out of it, but that's okay. This is not a contest. I'm a drunk, and now I'm a sober alcoholic who I hope takes responsibility for his life, and that's something I never did. I took advantage of everyone around me. I stole, I cheated, but you know that, because you wouldn't be here if you were not like me. So my sobriety date is January 2nd, 1991. I'm 58 years old now, and I'm grateful for the Rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm glad the doors were open, but that was a long time ago. I too, like Aaron said, probably wouldn't qualify in 1936 to come into the Rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm American of Mexican descent. My folks came to California in the late 1800s, and we stayed. And they were miners, they were cattle folks, and they were either running for war at the northern end of the border, or they just decided for a new life. And I'm grateful for that. And so, that's where I came from. I came from a family of alcoholics, like many of you. I didn't want to come from a family of alcoholics. I didn't want to have the loudest house on the block. I didn't want to not want to be there, but I had to. I was just surviving. I had 4 brothers and sisters, but we were all on our own. There was no wanting to be there. My dad was a raging alcoholic. My mom, she did the best she could. But that's where my story starts. And, I think, my alcoholism started before I took the first drink. And I know that today in Alcoholics Anonymous. There was always this sense of unease. There's always this sense of awkwardness that I felt as a kid. I always felt different. And if I just either stayed away from other people, you wouldn't figure it out. My dad was an alcoholic. And sometimes he would do geographics. And one time I was flown to Denver to visit him. And he picked me up with another woman in the car. It wasn't my mom. And then let me go with some friends. And we went hiking. And there was a boat. And we went up to the Rocky Mountains. And we got on this boat. And we went. And we climbed up this mountain over a lake and another lake. You know how it is there. And I'm this kid from L.A. And I'm in the wilderness. And we got lost. And I got lost. And I'm up there on the bottom of the lake, but it's like maybe 10,000 feet above. Who knows? But it felt like the top of the world. I felt a little like here. It felt like, wow. And for the first moment, I felt at peace. And I'm like, everything's going to be okay. Yet at the same time, I know I'm lost and I'm terrified. So I come in, eventually I come down the hill and I'm found and I get back home. But that feeling of peace and serenity I did not feel again until I took my first drink. When I took my first drink at 12 years old, I felt the same thing. I felt, oh my gosh, this is what I always wanted. The mind, the chattering, everything stopped for that one drink. And then the spins started and everything else started. And I felt, this is worth it. This first drink is worth it. And it's always been that way. It's always the first drink. I can't tell you that if I wanted the second drink, but my body wanted the second drink. But my mind didn't. My mind was okay with just that first drink because the sense of relief was there. And that's what I wanted. The relief of the chatter in my head, the relief of the fear that I had in being accepted anywhere. whether or not it's in this room or somewhere else. So I'm this alcoholic from this alcoholic family. It's even, eventually, my mom and dad separated. I come home to live with my grandparents in East Los Angeles, and it's okay. But I'm a raging boy at 12 years old, and I'm beating up on my brothers and sisters, and I don't know where this is all going. And then they take me away from the home, and I live with my aunt, who is a big part of my recovery. And there's always going to be someone there in your recovery, I'm sure, who never gives up on you. And that's why it's so critical in Alcoholics Anonymous that we leave no one behind. Those guys that are still out there, those women that are still out there are part of us. They just don't know it yet. But someone did not give up on me, and someone loved me. And I'm here today probably as a result of at least that person, but many others. Because we all got prayed into here. Someone prayed us in here. And I'm grateful for that. So I go live with her, and everything is okay. But, I found the alcohol, and I knew that it worked. And at 16, I'm off, I'm awkward, I'm in high school, things aren't working out, everything's different. I'm playing a little bit of sports, it's all good. And then I joined that restaurant, and I have my job, and the cash coming in, older folks, people buying booze, people buying weed, people buying everything, and we're just there, man. We're just on it. And I felt, wow, this is great. This is what it's like to be an adult. And so I joined it. Then all of a sudden, grades didn't come around. Just to give you a hit, I was captain of my cross country team. I got out of the football thing because all of a sudden people were bigger and stronger than I was. And I joined cross country. They invited me captain. But I'll tell you one thing, I was hardly ever there my senior year. And I remember the last league meet. They took their team picture, and I wasn't in it. Right? They just said, who cares about Ray? Ray's always win for himself. And that was the truth. People asking, where were you in this picture? I wasn't in it. I was doing something else. Because I was erratic. Sometimes I would show up. Sometimes I would run. Sometimes I didn't. Because I was too busy drinking the night before. And I knew I needed this. I knew I needed this to get through school. I needed this all the time. Fast forward, I'm in college. Boom. Before I go to college, I drink too much. Grain alcohol. And then boom, I'm getting sick. My friends are, if you've ever been sick with grain alcohol and almost ready to puke on yourself, that was me. And they turned me over, and for 3 days, they got me out of that hangover. But I go to school anyways, and I leave. I'd never been to that school. First day I go, I'm sleeping in a ditch. And I knew this is not going well. I've already crashed the car. I've already done this. And then three quarters in, I'm in the dorms. And I had this bottle of wild turkey, and people thought I had taken a few drugs or whatever. Then all of a sudden, I'm in the back seat of a car one more time. And I'm trying to smash out the windows. And then they're sending me to the YOLO General Hospital in Davis, California. And I'm there, and I'm strapped down, and I'm 5150. And my friends come in the next day. If you've ever been in a 5150, it's not the time that you're strapped down. It's not that you're in there. It's the hearing. It's the noises. It's the screaming. That's what's like, oh my God, and I'm 18. And my friends pick me up, and the psychiatrist comes to me, do you remember what happened last night? I said, yeah, I drank too much. That was probably the first honest thing I've ever said. And she said, okay, they let me out. My friends picked me up, and I walked back in that dorm room. People saw me. That's the guy that the cops called last night. And I had to, just walk in there with my head between my legs. And that was the start of it. And I come home, my family sees me. Next thing they know, like, whoa. I go out, see my friends. Hey, man, I'm a college guy now. I come back, get drunk. Next thing I know, I'm in the backyard and I'm sleeping. And it's about 35 degrees. And 3 dogs are on top of me at home, and they're keeping me warm. And they saved my life that night. And my aunt calls in, Raymond, get in here. I now know what that 3-dog meant. And, the song 3-Dog Night, right? So in Australia, they call it 3-Dog Night because it's cold. and you need 3 dogs to keep you warm. I didn't know that. I didn't know anything. But I kept using and drinking. And I can give you the whole dialogue of, we've all been there. We've all been institutionalized. DUIs, 18, 19, 20. The state of California decides to revoke my license for 6 years. So now I become a bus drunk. I'm the guy in the back of the bus, kind of smells, with a bag in his hand, and I'm doing this. And in between, I'm trying to go to school. And it's hard. And I'm listening to Neil Young, poor me. And I'm down in the dumps. Man, I am down in the dumps. And I'm not even 21 yet. Right? But there was a time where I got sentenced to do some time because I had warrants out. I got into trouble. All because of drinking. And for me, the institution, being able to be somewhere was helpful. And I was, for the first time, I had 15 days, 16 days of not drinking. Yes, but I'm institutionalized. And I had an opportunity to say, what do we do here? And I came out, someone picked me up. But like I just said, what's the use anyways? Let's just get started. And I got started. And it was over that. And always I was feeling like, I don't know how this ends. But I know I need this alcohol. I knew it does for me what I could not do for myself. I needed it to relate. I needed to live. And I was defiant. No one was going to stop me. I didn't know anything about AA, nothing. But for somehow, I was able, I was a drunk. I would forget to get up on bus stations. I would forget everything. And I knew I had a mom out there, and I knew I had a family out there, but I couldn't go home unless I got that degree. So 7 years later, I finally was able to graduate and got on a Greyhound bus, went back to LA. And, I thought it was going to be a little different. It wasn't. I just picked up and crashed more cars. My brother was in the car one time, hit his head against the windshield. We left the car there, and, that's what I did. There was no remorse. It was just cover it up. Do the next thing. And that's what I did the next thing. But it didn't get any better. But the best thing that happened when I walked, one of the best things that happened was that I'm going further. I'm further going down. I'm losing jobs. I'm living with my mother on the floor. And then, my mom sees me getting handcuffed and putting him back of a cop car, and I'm going one more time through the circuit. The best thing about going through that circuit is if you go through LA County, it takes you 3 days to get through, to get processed. It takes you a long time. And so what happened to me was the judge sentenced me to 50 AA meetings. And I said, what's with this? I can see the money and all that, but what's with the 50 AA meetings? So I had this court card. And I go to one Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I've never heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I go to AA, and it's like, whoa, it's not for me. I'm 26 years old. There's a few guys around the room, and I go, I just don't get it. Right? 4 months later, it's February 1990. I'm sleeping in motels, and I'm doing dumpsters. I sort of have a job. I'm shaking all the time. Now, from 21 to 26, I'm shaking a lot. I have DTs. I'm sweating a lot. I can't sleep. Right? But I'm pushing through it because I knew no other alternative. There was no other solution in my mind. I was going to die with this thing. And so I'm living in the hotels. I'm in Santa Anita Park. I'm this. And then I realize I'm done. And I asked the bus driver, let's go down to LA. Take me to where alcoholics, take me to Skid Row. Take me to the place, and because I went there because I thought that's where I re-die. And I was done, and I figured, okay, this is where I'm going to go die, on the streets. They didn't have room for me at the mission. I curled up in front of City Hall in a blanket, laid there, because that's what I did. I had $15 left. I went into a flop house, got there, I went to try to eat something. They kicked me out because I had no money. I was weaning myself off the last beer that I had. And when I was in that flop house, I got on my knees. There's always a mirror, and it's not even clear. It's all scratched up, and I didn't recognize me. I didn't know who I was. And I look at the mirror, and I get on my knees, and God help me. I'm dying. And I lay down a little bit, and the idea goes, go to AA, everything's going to be okay. And for the first time, there was this moment of clarity that just opened up to me, and it's just like, I wasn't afraid. For that moment, I knew what to do. I called a friend. He picked me up. He took me home. I told my aunt. I told people. I went to this job that I had, and I hadn't been for 2 weeks. And I go to talk to the boss, and I said, because I was willing to do anything. The wind was at my back. And I said, I'm an alcoholic. And he says, do whatever it takes. The woman comes out, the secretary. She says, hey, Ray, do you have a minute? Yeah. And I said, sure. She says, I'm Mike, and I'm an alcoholic. Right? There are no coincidences in Alcoholics Anonymous. She says, meet me Saturday. We're going to go to 9416, which is in El Monte, California. And this big book is what she bought me. The same big book. And it has a date on it. It has March 3rd, 1990. That is not my sobriety date. Right? So if those of you that have come here, you relapse, whatever, you keep coming back. If you can. Some of us can't come back. Some of us won't come back. So if you're here and you've done this and you've come back, you're the bravest person in this room. Right? Because it's hard. That hand is hard. And I went to that meeting, and I went to 3 meetings that day. Brought me this big book. And on the third, you guys talked to me in between meetings. And on the 4th meeting, I went into this. It was a Sunday morning, and I heard the laughter, and I was laughing. And I didn't know how that happened. So I stuck around. So I had this experience with a higher power in this flop house. And I saw the steps on the wall, and I said, I'm not going to do those steps. I just want to do 1 and 2. I have this higher power. I'm pretty powerless. I know I can't drink because look at me, right? Unmanageable. I think I'm done. But to turn it over, to do these steps, I was terrified of you coming into here. And I couldn't let this out. I didn't know what you would think of me. So I hung around, got 90 days together, and then I drank. It was just a running thing, they have beer at the end, I drank. But it wasn't that problem. The problem was when I came back home, I went to got 2 towels, went back to the dumpster and pounded them. And then I knew, I'm in trouble. Went back to AA. Another 90 days. Another 90 days. And they were calling me 90-Day Ray. And it was just, and I got those red chips, which were 90-day chips at the time. But I just wasn't doing it. Then on January 1st, right, I had a head full of AA, and I couldn't drink, and it was getting different. And I went with my uncle, New Year's Day, Santa Anita, racetrack. We liked the ponies. And I had a beer there, and I said, I don't know. Things are different. I'm not the same. I'm not treating people the same. I have this conscious now, just a little bit, that maybe that's wrong, maybe that's right. And I'm learning this in Alcoholics Anonymous. Things are changing. So we go out, and we're at this Commerce Casino. It's 8 o'clock at night. We're watching a football game, and I have a Heineken. And I'm halfway done with the Heineken. And all of a sudden, I think this is it. I think I'm done. And I wanted to shout out to the whole bar, but I couldn't. I was like I was in this weird place. And there's still a half bottle of Heineken somewhere, ready for me to pick up at any time. And that was my last drink. I come into Alcoholics Anonymous, I get on that bus. I almost didn't get on that bus. There was 2 places for me to go. Either, get going again or go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. And I asked the guy who I had spotted months before to be my sponsor. And I said, will you sponsor me? He said, yes. And then it just took off. That was the day I decided to make the decision, step 3, to turn it over to Alcoholics Anonymous, to do this program the way you guys did this program. Not Ray's way, not 1 and 2 step, but 1, 2, 3. And I was willing to do 4, 5, and the rest. Even though I was terrified of him. I saw 5, I saw 9, but I was willing. And that's for me, that was a big deal. So I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm feeling something different. Something's different this time. And then this guy at work said, "Hey man, I have this car, $500. I said, "Oh, I don't have a car. I haven't had a car for years." I says, I think I'll buy that car. He says, "Oh, I guess I need a license." Go to the DMV, and I go to the DMV and says, I'm wanting to get my license. I says, "Okay, what's your name?" I go, "Okay, here it is." I go, "That's it? No test? No nothing?" I go, "No, you're done. It's all clear." So we don't have a license for 6 years. Things get cleared up pretty quickly. No DUIs, nothing there. I mean, and he gave me that license. I went to go buy that car. Gave him the $500, Toyota Corolla, 81. And I'm driving down the 10 freeway in LA, going to my meeting, and I'm crying like a baby. I just didn't think it would happen for me. And I'm crying on the freeway, going to a meeting, and it was just different. And those are the moments that I cherish the most, right? And it just even gets different. And they told me it'll get different. You do this, and I got in with some young people. I was, at this time I'm 27, and we're doing big book studies together. And then I thought there's got to be an easier, softer way. So I go to a psychic. And she says $400, and I'll tell you what you want to hear. But that's in my mind, right? And I wanted to hear. I go, well, what am I supposed to do with that girl? What am I supposed to do with this, right? And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And my sponsor had invited me to be on a panel. I was only 5 months sober. He invited me to be on the panel, and I need to be there. And I left that psychic, I went to the panel, and I shared, and he invited me into this fellowship and this program, and I, for me, guys, the guys in the room, even the women, I've never been seen. I never thought you saw me, right? In Alcoholics Anonymous, we see each other, and just for him inviting me there, I just wanted to be near these guys. I just wanted to go to lunch. I just wanted to go to the game. I wanted to be a part of something, which I never was a part of, without drinking. And you guys made it easy. My sponsor made it easy, and the friends in the fellowship made it easy. So he asked me to speak, and I'm talking, I think I'm at a fork in the road. And I was at the fork in the road. And there are lots of forks in the road in AA. And I said, no, I'm going to do this. So eventually, after a lot of procrastinating, I wrote that 4th step, and I wanted to be thorough. So not only did I the 4th step, like the 4th step, I actually looked in the 12 and 12 and answered every one of those questions. Have you guys ever read chapter 4 in the 12 and 12? Read it, answer those questions, and I said yes, no, this. I wanted to be thorough, but in a way, I was procrastinating. Right? I was buying time. So 6 months working on a 4th step. That's what it took me. I don't think you should do that, but it's okay. Check with your sponsor. So 4 months, so I'm doing this, and then I said, okay, it's time. So I called my sponsor, and he said, okay, let's do it. So I did the 5th step. And I wanted to be thorough. And there's part of the big book, the beginning of the 5th step, we only thought we had cleaned house. We only thought, and that terrified me, because I did not want to drink again. So I told him everything. Everything. And I'm grateful that I did, because I wanted to hold back. I didn't want to tell him some of the dirty secrets that I thought I had done, but I wanted to clear house. And I wanted to see, it wasn't me. I mean, it was me. It wasn't them. I had blamed everyone. I thought I was the victim. And yet I was the perpetrator of a lot of things. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, I felt like it was just crystal clear. It was me. I did these things. I created it. I started the ball rolling. And it was easy. And after I did that fifth step, that sense of earning your seat in Alcoholics Anonymous, now I knew for the first time I'd accomplished something. I accomplished something, and my name, I can go in any AA room and my name would be on the back of the seat. It's reserved for Ray because I did this fifth step. That's how monumental it was for me. And then my sponsor says, what about 6 and 7? He says, just do the opposite of what you want to do. Just do the opposite. You got to create new habits. You see someone who's, gentle and kind, watch them how they do gentle and kind. If you really want to know somebody, follow them home. And that terrified me. Because in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, when we're with each other, it's easy to be pretty easy and kind and gentle and compassionate. But if, nowadays, if I go outside, can I still be kind and gentle and compassionate to the people I don't know? To people outside my tribe? I don't know. That's the tall order. And step 6 and 7, they're to me that slice. They're the slice of cheese in the middle of a sandwich that gives it the flavor. They really are important. And I didn't know that until I became an AA and did this. And then he said, just write that list. So I wrote that list after procrastinating, because I'm a procrastinator. And I wrote that list in one night. And it was the best thing that ever happened. I just wrote the list, and then it took years before I started doing my first 2 amends. I was doing living amends, but it was real amends. Oh, that car I crashed with my mom, it's time to get a new one. My brother, my sister, my family. Real stuff. And I shared the other day at the meeting that, it wasn't until I could forgive them. See, because I thought they had harmed, the reason I harmed them is because I thought they were going to get me first. And that wasn't the case. It was just my whole idea of that. So I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm doing these steps slowly. But before that, I went on a retreat, and I met these wonderful ladies here and some others, and I was terrified. If you really want to really get some spiritual stuff done, go on a retreat. And I went on this retreat, didn't know anybody, maybe a couple people, and it changed my life. See, because what you see up here is like, I can reach out my hand, I can social, I can look you in the eye. But when I was 2.5 years sober, it was still hard. And I was just a little boy inside with a lot of healing. I was broken. And you guys mended me. Just by your hugs, by the attention, by just, letting me get to know you slowly. And that's what happened. And I've now, I go to retreats and I try to reach out my hand, but it's hard. I'm always with the shields. And, because my problem is up here. The alcoholic, it centers in the mind. And for me, it's in my mind. The fear of just seeing you, loving you, in that simple attitude. I think it's gratitude. Bill talks about, provided we have a simple attitude. I think it's gratitude. And for me, gratitude leads to love. And love leads to service. And I think, when Charlie Brown says, what's AA all about? What is sobriety all about? And I do think it's gratitude, love, and service. At least for me, in my experience. Now, I'm going through life, and then all of a sudden, 7 years, all of a sudden I'm getting married. Not all of a sudden. I'm trying it. I'm trying the best I can. 90 days, every relationship is 90 days, and then I give up. Then I said, I'm done, God. Just let it go. And then I meet this woman introduced at work. I said, I don't do work relations. And I said, you know what? She's there. I'm there. I'm going to go toward it. I'm tired of running. And we go out, and every time I sit with her, even today, there's this big smile, and I feel centered, and I feel balanced. And we've been married 22 years. After a series of miscarriages, we tried to have a family, and it didn't work out. But, disappointment is all part of life. And I watched you guys in Alcoholics Anonymous basically walking through life with, despite your ailments, despite deaths. And So I said, okay, maybe it's not meant to be. And then we go out. My wife's Native American. We go out, and say, hey, you got any kids? And to the reservation. And they said, nah, not really. And then they call us, yeah, we got this kid. And I go, well, we had to pass on it, special needs. And the day we passed, they called us up and they said, hey, we have a 5-week-old boy. Do you want him? And I said, yeah. We didn't even hesitate. Okay, can you come next week? Oh, this weekend? I said, we didn't have anything. And we walked down there and they gave us this baby boy. And we were a family. And if you really want to grow in Alcoholics Anonymous, be a parent. It's the best experience of your life. And that was for me. And so we had this baby boy, bought a house. These are the things that I was not going to do, that I was terrified of. Financial insecurity, all that stuff. But you guys showed me how to walk through that, day to day. But I have this kid, we have this house, and all of a sudden I'm terrified. I want to run. Right? It's 2003, I'm 12 years sober, but I'm dry. And I wanted to leave. I wanted to bolt. I said, I can't take this anymore. And the next thing, I went to this men's meeting that I used to, a men's meeting that I started with, and I went there and I was terrified. And there was 25 guys standing around the room, and I kept coming back. And they made me a coffee person. So at 12 years sober, I became a coffee person. I was back in Alcoholics Anonymous. And my wife's mom was in AA. And my wife told her, she was excited, and my wife's mom goes, isn't that an entry-level position? I go, yeah. But that's what I needed. That's what I needed to get connected. And I haven't disconnected. And for me, the connection to you, to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous was made there. So I'm going through, so I'm back in the program. I'm not feeling like a fraud anymore. That feeling that, oh man, I'm just going through the motion. That ended because I got into service and H&I, which saved my life. And I was the literature person for Area 53, which is the largest in California. And so I would have my whole garage would be literature because I had a truck. So you guys who had a truck, either you're moving people or you're carrying literature. And that's what I did. I didn't ask why a lot. I just said yes. And I never said yes to anything. I was a no person. I was a prejudiced person. I was a dark person. And so to say yes, to open up the sunlight, to let a little light in, that was different. So I'm, my kid's growing up. He's starting to have some difficulties learning. And that's a challenge. If you have learning disabilities as a kid. And I'm like, okay. So we do the best we can. And we did. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting in trouble at work. Like, what's the deal? And I'm almost losing my job because I think what's good for Ray is good for the family. And what the deal is, what's good for the family is good for Ray. I tried to play God. I tried to exercise my ego. And I lost. So that for me was Alcoholics. That was just me and in the meantime, while I was on annual administrative leave, we started a meeting with my sponsor. And we started that meeting, and it's still there today. It's a speaker meeting, LA clapping type meeting in Northern California. And it was just an hour. And people were just loved it because we wanted the energy in the room. And so that's what I did when I had no job. And then I get this job, and again, they hire me, and it's great, But I'm sticking around. I'm sticking close. And I'm sticking around Alcoholics Anonymous. That kid is 19 years old now. That kid graduated from high school. He's holed up in his room playing gaming right now, but that's okay. My wife and I are still married. And I have wonderful friends in Alcoholics Anonymous. And through this Zoom thing, what really taught me is going back to the basics. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. It's not going to change. My physical self is not going to change. I haven't had the obsession to drink for a while. I'm grateful that my higher powers arrested that. But what I like to do is rest on my laurels and be comfortable. Coming here, gets me out of that comfort zone. Speaking in front of you gets me out of that comfort zone. This is a kid that gets terrified. And that fear is replaced with love, because I want to do this. If there's somebody that I can help, newcomers or whatever, that's what I want to do. Because this is my second life. I had that life back then. It's done. Sometimes I just don't realize it. Sometimes I don't realize what a gift this is until it's gone, until one of you lose it. When we lose one of you in Alcoholics Anonymous, then we know, I got to get back in there. But it was not in vain, because I come back more to the program. If you're struggling in Alcoholics Anonymous, with the God thing or the concept of God, we all have our own concept. There are 100 alcoholics in this room right now. There are 100 concepts of God, and they're all right. Just keep coming back. Stay. So I'm going to leave you with a vision for you. So this is my favorite chapter in the book, both the beginning and the end, because it says a lot. Especially the fact that we only know a little. And I'm learning, the longer I stay sober, the less I know. I know nothing. All I know is my experience in going a day at a time, staying sober. But I did not do this alone. Every one of you helped me. When I didn't want to do anything, you gave me a text. When I didn't want to do it, you invited me to your home. When I didn't want to do anything, you did something for me. And what's hard for this alcoholic is to do something for you. And that's why I keep sticking around. Because I really want to keep growing up. And I think this is what, life is about, right? Because my basic state, when I'm restless, irritable, and discontent, that's what happens in between drinks. So this program for living is about what to do in between drinks so I don't take the next one. So on page 164, our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we only know a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet most of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Thank you.